Is it all that you needed from this? I hope it meant anything, anything.
What's good, YouTube? RayQuaza2094 here with an upload against Bramble 2020. He doesn't have any uploads, so I won't link you to his channel, but yeah, he is here on YouTube, just so you know. So yeah, basically, he has a Sun team, and I have a team that is really weak to fire at this point, so this was not looking good for me. And then, you know what, a crit just decides to help me out in the beginning, which is, yeah, always good. Especially since Focus Blast hit. So he's going to put in Infernape, which is going to suck because, you know, Infernape obviously is Choice Scarfed. But, you know, later on I find out that this isn't the Infernape, it turns out to be the Zoroark. And you'll see when I find out later because, you know, I'm just playing it like it is an Infernape. I guess just kind of guessing that he doesn't want to put in his Zoroark yet. But obviously it's Choice Scarf, so he does want it in. So I go for the Morning Sun after the light screen to get to full health, and then because I was still fooled at the fact that this was a Zoroark, even though I knew he had it, I just go for a Psychic, and then I'm like, oh, it's a Zoroark. Well, that is problematic that he's actually sending it out this early. So I just go for Reflect, because, you know, I can stall out Flamethrower if I try hard enough. And I just go for Healing on the switch into his Gengar, and he's trying to bait out another Psychic, I guess, which, you know, isn't going to happen. And I'm just going to switch out into Fortress, which then I switch back into Espeon, because, yeah, I know I can take a Flamethrower. And he does go for it, which is good, because, you know, I kind of was hoping that baited him into a Flamethrower. But my light screen is going to wear off, but I don't want to go for it right away, because if I do, I'll lose Espeon, which, you know, can come in handy later, either as death fodder or just as setting up the dual screens. So yeah, I just go for 2 Morning Suns, which sucks, because I know Morning Sun only has 8 PP. But, you know, after that second Morning Sun, I'm just going to put up a light screen, which is nice. And unfortunately my Flex is going to wear off, and he's going to switch into Moxie-Mints, which, yeah, I knew he had Salamence, but, I mean, who would have figured he'd be running Moxie-Mints? Which, you know, Moxie-Mints coming in at this point is, you know, not really the biggest deal, because I can easily take it. And at first I thought maybe the Moxie-Mints was a Choice Scarf set, but nope, it's a mixed set, which kind of sucks, because I just gave him a free attack boost, thinking I could wall him with Fortress and force him out, because I wanted to set up some entry hazards. But, you know, that's not going to be the case. So I put in Sparks -1, knowing that I'll easily be able to live a Flamethrower due to Light Screen being up, and hit him back with that Tinted Lens, Stab, Bug Buzz. Woo! Not very effective, my ass. It just KO'd Moxie-Mints. So he is going to put in Gengar, and I kind of want to save Sparks -1 for later as death fodder, so I switch into Zero. Zero is a boss. So he may have predicted me going for the Sucker Punch, but you know what, I don't do that. I just go for the Night Slash, because I thought maybe he was going to switch out or do something, and you know, I figured Night Slash was pretty good damage overall to whatever he would bring in. So right here he brings in Infernape, but guess what, no, it's not an Infernape. Look at that, it's a Zoroark, as I find out after it gets Night Slash. So yeah, I decided to switch into Sparks -1 here as death fodder, because this is actually the best time to use Sparks -1 as death fodder. And I decided to put in Magician, not really over predicting too much into him switching into his real Infernape, so I just went for the light screen, which is actually going to come in handy later anyways. And he goes for the Flare Blitz, which Flare Blitz in the sun with Stab is easily just going to KO Espeon, which sucks. And it turns out he's run Life Orb set, so that's even more insult to injury. It's kind of overkill if you ask me, really. So I decided to put in Angry Yet and go for Protect to get up the Toxic Orb. But, you know, he's going to predict that protect and pretty much switch into Gengar, not knowing if Gengar had something that could hurt me. I go ahead and switch, and he gets up a free sub, which is going to suck. And also, I had to switch anyways because I had nothing that could hit him, because my Gengar cannot hit anyone with Levitate or any flying types, which sucks. And the fact that Gengar is poison means I can't stall him out either. So yeah, it turns out he's running like HP Fire. I'm pretty sure it's HP Fire due to the fact that I still survived, but it could be HP Ice. And I just break a sub with an Iron Head, and then decide to just go for the Sucker Punch, because, you know, I didn't feel like over-predicting him into switching, and I didn't want to lose Zero, because Zero is an effective counter to another Pokemon in his team that is still around. So I put in Gliscor, and he goes for the Will-O-Wisp after, because he kind of, you know, expected me to be Zero. It just doesn't work, so he goes for the Flare Blitz, which, you know, is not going to do anything to me personally. It's just going to break my sub, which sucks. And I decided to go for a Toxic, knowing that, you know, I'd much rather Toxic stall than Earthquake, because, you know, I don't really want an Earthquake. So he decides to put in Zoroark, and since Zoroark was obviously the last Pokemon at the time, Zoroark decides to show up, which is, you know, not a big deal. I can pretty easily take this Zoroark on now. I just go for the Protect to get at full health. He goes for the Dark Pulse to break my sub. I don't know why, personally, Flamethrower would have been a better option, because, you know, Sun is up, but it's whatever. So, yeah, pretty much he just goes for another Dark Pulse, and I know I can easily live it, because, you know, I have Light Screen up, which is, like I said, coming in use later on in this match. And pretty much, man, I just squeaked there. Obviously, my voice is trying to go. Pretty much, I just decided to protect so I can get more health. And he decides to stay in while I protect a second time, which my opponents always seem to hit, but I always miss. Whatever. And he breaks my sub, but that's not going to matter because, you know, Dark Magic is gone. So right here, he puts in Inevitable, which is his Alakazam. Obviously, it's Magic Guard, because no one would run Synchronize anymore. And even if you run Synchronize, there's nothing that really would take damage from a Synchronize. Because, you know, my Gliscor loves Poison, and Zero pretty much enjoys being immune to Poison. So I decided to put in Zero and go for the Sucker Punch, knowing it would have KO'd him, but he's running the Focus Sash instead of the Life Orb, which I guess comes in handy here because he gets a crit, but I do live with 14, which you may think it doesn't matter, but it is going to matter later on in the match. So I decided to just go for the straight Sucker Punch, because, you know, I just don't feel like over-predicting. And I switched into Gliscor to absorb this Will-O-Wisp, because, you know, I know that it's not going to do anything. I'm already poisoned. I already got status. He can't do anything to me. So he switches into his Alakazam, who just gets a sub put up on the switch, which is nice for me. Goes for the Psychic to break my sub, which is, you know, no big deal, because I'm just going to finally use Earthquake and pretty much KO this Alakazam, which he might have been thinking, hell, maybe he doesn't even have attacking moves. But I have Earthquake just because an attacking move is nice. So he goes for a Flare Blitz, gets a crit, KOs Gliscor, but you know, that's not going to matter because this is his last Pokemon, and that is good game. Zero survives with 14, which makes me the winner. So that was a good game with Travis. I just kind of brought in a random team, and then found out from other people later, oh, you shouldn't have brought in a random team. You should have brought in something that that actually is thought out. And I was like, you know, yeah, I could, but you know, at this point, I really don't want to like go find all my teams that are thought out. So yeah, good match with Travis right there. Definitely had me pressing onto my legs and seat and everything for the entire battle, especially towards the end where, you know, I was making a comeback, but if I'd messed up one thing, I would have lost my comeback. So yeah, pretty much that is going to be all for this video, because my voice is kind of, you know, dying, so just enjoy the ending of the music. Comment, like, and subscribe to see more of my videos. Thank you, and goodbye.